There are three basic laws of relative rock dating. There are the law of superposition, the law of the cross-cutting, and the law of inclusions. First, let's define what we mean by relative rocking. Relative rock dating is where we determine the relative or comparative age of rocks to each other. This means that we know which is older and which is younger. But we don't know exactly how old they are determining. An exact age of old they are determining an exact age of rock is what's known as absolute or radiometric rocking. We use relative rock dating laws to determine the relative ages of rock, layers of features. To each other again, we're only able to determine what is older and what is young. Let's look at each of these three laws. The law of superposition states that in an undisturbed sequence of rocks, the oldest rocks are on the bottom and the youngest rocks are on the top. We can compare this to an analogy of a laundry basket. Each day as you add dirty clothes to that laundry hamper, the layers stack one on top of other, and as long as this stack is not disturbed, the oldest clothes will be on the bottom and the youngest will be on the top. The same is true with the any undisturbed rocks sequence. The oldest rock are on the bottom and the youngest are on the top. Let's now look at the cross-cutting. This law states that any features that cuts across a sequence may be a fault or a igneous intrusion, either a dike or a battle axe, and these features are younger than any part of the sequence they cut across. Let's compare the law of cross-cutting to determine the relative age of scenario. The older tracks will be covered by younger tracks. This allows us to determine the relative age of those tracks where those are on top or not covered by anything are the youngest, and those that are covered by most are the oldest. This is also true with any rock sequence with cross-cutting features. Those features are younger than all of the rocks they cut. Finally, let's look at the law of inclusions, or as it's also known as the law of included fragments. This law states that any rock or fragment that's included inside another rock. For example, if we look at this diagram of pieces of rock A inside of rock B, this means that rock A is older than rock B. Is younger than because rock A had to be around first so that it could be included inside of rock B. An analogy that's similar to law of inclusions is that of a fruit cake. A fruit cake includes a lot of chunks for other items both and before they can be included in that kit. So that they mean is that those chunks are older than the surrounding cake. The same is also true for rockets included inside of another rock must be the older of the two. Again, we can also use this relative rock dating laws to determine the relative or comparison age of rock to each other. Again, this is only means we can tell which is older and which is younger. We must use something else known as absolute or radiometric dating, determine specific ages for specific rocks. But these relative rock dating laws are very helpful in helping determine the sequence of events that led to rock formation. That's all. Thank you.